This is the SNN Midday Edition.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Melissa Warren, and this is SNN Midday. A longtime restaurant in downtown Sarasota will be staying right where it is after reaching a deal with the city. Well, snowbirds on the Suncoast are happy to just be watching from afar as snowfall records keep breaking in the Northeast. Andrew Spencer has the latest. Women who give birth prematurely without being induced may have double the risk of heart disease or stroke. A garbage truck driver in Hillsborough County had an unusual morning after finding a couple in the back of his vehicle. And a Suncoast institution just celebrated a big anniversary. Now, the Florida gubernatorial race this year has been the most expensive in the nation. And as a reminder, SNN is the place to turn for all your election night's results and analysis. We are counting down just 3 more days until the Suncoast's own daredevil Nik Wallenda walks across the Chicago River. You just heard the president speaking on the relations with Cuba. Now, he was saying 50 years of isolation not working for either country. One of the last symbols of a truce between North and South Korea is now gone. Flood warnings remain in effect through this evening for several Colorado counties, with a threat of more thunderstorms bringing even more flash floods. And firefighters are battling a large fire on the new boardwalk in Seaside Park, New Jersey. Thanks for joining us today on Suncoast FYI. Buccaneer Pawn Gold and Guns is a locally owned pawn shop with more than 15 years of experience on the Suncoast. Joining me now are owners and partners Will Ross and Brad Meek. Welcome to the show, guys. Well, Thomas Redman, a Navy veteran, college graduate, and middle school reading teacher in Orlando, gave up his job to teach others a lesson on being homeless. He's been traveling from city to city gathering support and at times even money for homeless awareness, and his next stop is Sarasota. It may be hard to believe now, but she says that where that paddleboarder is right now was covered in sand just 72 hours ago.
Melissa, authorities found one body at this location. Have you talked to anyone there? What do we know?
Yes, Amber, it is certainly a somber scene here at Bayshore Baptist in Bradenton, where one of those victims was found just before 1:30 this afternoon. In just about 30 minutes, the auditorium that I'm standing in right now will be transformed into a town hall style meeting held by Congressman Brett Guthrie. I'll have more tonight at 10 on that, but for right now, I have actually traded my heels and blazer for a rain boots and a windbreaker. And if you're headed out tonight, you might want to consider doing the same, because as you can see, it is starting to get windy out here and the clouds from the storm are rolling in. And coming up at 6, I'll have more from him on why he's so excited about this game and this season. Back to you guys. Now we're here live at the Mass Media and Technology Center on the campus of WKU, where inside today was turned into somewhat like a courtroom. The chief here says that trying to fit all of these trucks in is kind of like working a puzzle. Now, if you look behind me, you can see, now I might not be very big, but imagine if I'm wearing all of this gear that's here to the left of me. Now, if you look back even further behind me, there's probably less than a foot of space between the truck and the gear. Justice. It's what so many gathered here today looking for, and what many say they may never find. Holiday Bash 2012 is well underway. As you can see behind me, the live auction is just about to begin. It was after those workers heard the first couple of shots that they actually came outside to where I'm standing right now in this parking lot, where they saw everything that happened across the street from that point on. Now, it's much darker now than it was earlier today when the accident happened here, but you can see, if you look at the ground, the puddling of oil that the sheriff was talking about that can create those slick roads.
Oh, here's the door.
Here we go.
Dozens of same-sex couples gathered at the historic Sarasota courthouse to be the first to get married.
I don't know that it matters to me that I'm the first. I'm 47 years old and this is my first wedding, so I'm thrilled to just be getting married at all.
Sharp's sister, Dawn Hogue, made the trip from Michigan after a friend purchased her a plane ticket to be able to see her sister get married and see history unfold.
From the time we were little kids, this is the best person that she's ever been around, ever. And she needs to have that legal, so they have those protections that everybody else has just because they're born straight.
Today is a day that I've waited a long time
and so have I. And I'm really moved and touched that like I get to do something that everybody else takes for granted nowadays.
Patricia Cummins and Gail Foreman have waited 24 years for this day.
With this ring, I thee wed.
And they say they're honored to be able to do it at the same time as so many of their friends.
When you're in a unique community, you have to stand above, behind, below, and beside each other. And you stand above each other so that when things are down, you can pull each other up. You stand behind so that they know you're back there for support. And you stand to the side so that they know they're always standing with someone else.
I do now, by the authority vested in me by the state of Florida.
And as they said, I do, there were plenty of someone else's to stand beside. In Sarasota, Melissa Warren, SNN, the Suncoast News Network.
You came with wide-eyed wonder into all this great unknown.
When Stephanie Richards woke up going into preterm labor at just 29 weeks, her hopes of a normal, healthy pregnancy changed.
I woke up at 1 o'clock in the morning and my water had broken. So we called, and of course they immediately wanted us to go in.
Doctors were able to delay the labor until 32 weeks, and during that time she received surfactant therapy to ensure Kaylee's lungs would function after birth. The therapy was designed, produced, and fully funded by March of Dimes, and for little Kaylee, it made all the difference. After she was born, she had to stay in the NICU for 2 weeks, and her parents say that was the hardest thing.
That is very hard. And it's very hard to leave the hospital every day knowing that she's there.
It was rough traveling back and forth to Nashville every day. We get off work usually around 2 o'clock, drive down there and stay till 9, 10 o'clock, drive home, get up 6 o'clock, go back to work and do it all over again.
When she was 5 months old, doctors told Kaylee's parents she had spina bifida and may never walk, but she proved fate wrong again when she took her first steps at last year's March of Dimes Walk for Babies. Stephanie found out she was pregnant again with her son Kyler, and fearing he would have a similar pregnancy, she worked with the March of Dimes to take every precaution.
The March of Dimes advocated to have folic acid be put into foods, but I also had to take extra of folic acid to prevent spina bifida.
Now the Richards family has 2 healthy babies, and Kaylee is pretty thankful for that.
They can stay with me.
We're just thankful for everybody that's donated to the March of Dimes. They've made a big difference in our life.
You can silence the voices, but you can't stop this song. Because when the Spirit's moving, His will be done. So you can bury the workmen, but the work will go on.
Church members tell me that Pastor Tripp Battle's wife, Joy, was actually inside of the office when her husband was shot and killed right behind me, but they didn't want her to remember that image when she came back here to her church. So yesterday they got together with some local landscaping companies who donated these plants and created this garden in memorial of Tripp. And they say that it was yesterday when she first saw that completed garden that it gave her hope to be able to speak those words at today's service.
I love my husband dearly. God will grieve him for the rest of my days. But the best way to honor his life, be sure, is to continue in this work.
Kevin Adams, the owner of the plant place, says there's a simple reason he decided to donate his time and plants Saturday when he heard what happened.
I'd hope somebody would do that for us.
Church member Karen Tidwell says Tripp Battle's wife, Joy, was struggling with the idea of returning to the place she saw her husband die
until she saw this.
And before she's even a third of the way down the sidewalk, she just slumps into tears and she says, "It is so beautiful. It is so beautiful." And she said there's life and there's hope here for the future.
In Bradenton, Melissa Warren, SNN, the Suncoast News Network.